Hi there, this is Unmesh from PiXimperfect. I hope you're having a great day and making it an awesome one. So in this video, we're going to be talking about some tools. Well, there are some tools that we just don't like. There are also some tools that we don't use at all. But there are some tools, some specific tools that are absolutely useless and question probably their own existence. In this video, we're going to be talking about the top 5 absolutely useless tools in Photoshop, not to trash Adobe, but to educate ourselves on far better alternatives which are non-destructive and also customizable. Did you also know that the rounded rectangle tool is just a scam? Yes, it is. All that and more. So without any further ado, let's get started. Back in the magical world of Photoshop, and before we begin our countdown, just know that some of these tools are just obsolete. They might have been useful, might have been the big daddy of Photoshop back in 1996, but right now, they're not. And they still exist because some of us just like to hold on to things. So the first one right here is the pencil tool. The irony here is that the brush tool mimics the pencil way better than the pencil tool itself. So if you're thinking the pencil tool will give you a pencil effect, that's far from the truth. So let's try for a comparison the brush tool with a pencil tip. So here we are with the brush tool selected, and from the drop down right over there, let's choose Kyle Ultimate Pencil Hard. It is inside Dry Media Brushes group. Alright, now let's try to draw some pencil strokes. Now with the pressure in my hand, because I'm using a Wacom tablet, I can just make it darker, make it brighter, and as you can see, this is very realistic. Let's make the brush a little larger so that you can see the pencil texture properly, and there you go. See how realistic that is? If I go ahead and choose the pencil tool right over there and choose the same brush tip by going to Window and then Brush Settings, and if I choose the same brush tip right over there and try to paint the same thing, alright? See? This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Maybe you can control the pressure if you want to by going to Transfer and making it pen pressure, but still, even if you try to paint right now, yes, you can control the pressure. But if you zoom in, have a look at the edge. It is so hard. There is no sense of gradient, there is no sense of transparency, nothing, no sense of texture, none of that. So what is the pencil tool? The pencil tool is simply a dumbed down version of the brush tool. That's it. The issue is, it only paints with hard pixely edges, does not support variations in transparency of the brush tip, just paints a flat blob. Let me illustrate with one more example. So with the brush tool selected, I had some watercolor brushes, some splashes right there that I downloaded from Brush Easy. So let's go with this one, alright? And we're gonna just dab once. Okay, as you can see, the transparency has been kept in mind for the brush tip. If we choose the pencil tool and choose the same brush tip, let me choose that again. And then if we just make it larger and just dab, have a look. It did not consider any of that. It is just like painting and applying threshold over it. One more important thing is that the pencil tool does not have anti-aliasing. And that's what makes the edges so bad, so pixely, so hard. Alright, so even if we choose a simple hard round brush like this and we dab with the pencil tool, keep in mind pencil tool is selected and I'm just gonna dab with black. Okay, if you zoom in, have a look at the edges. They are so hard and pixely. Similarly, if you go ahead and choose the brush tool and you choose the hard round brush, alright, and then we're gonna just have a little lower size and just make a dab right over there. I think the flow is low. Let's increase the flow. And now you compare, zoom in. Have a look at the edge. Have a look at the edge of the brush tool and have a look at the edge of the pencil tool. The brush tool has anti-aliasing while the pencil tool is aliased. Just so you know, anti-aliasing is simply smoothing of the edges by just averaging the colors of the pixels around the boundaries. So what is the alternative to the stupid pencil tool? If it's still not clear, it's the brush tool, my friend. The next useless stupid Flanders tool right here is the color replacement tool. Might have been useful in the past, but right now, there are far better ways to do it. So what is the color replacement tool? Let me quickly show you a demo. The color replacement tool, which you can find again in the brush group right over there, is simply a tool to modify the color of an object, but absolutely destructively. So for this example, let's say we wanted to change the color of the scarf and the cap. So with the color replacement tool selected, let's say we wanted to change it to blue. So you would have to pick blue first. So double click on the foreground color icon right over there and choose whatever shade of blue you want. Hit OK. And then you have to choose the blend mode that will be used when you replace the color. So in this case, let's keep it a color. And then you can try painting and it will change the color of the scarf. Pretty good. It also maintains the edge, doesn't let it go so much to the skin, but it still goes, you know. Now the biggest problem with that is that this is absolutely destructive. Let's say you wanted to change or modify the color later. You can't do it. Let's say you wanted to remove the color from certain areas. You can't do it unless you duplicate the layer and then create a mask and do all of that complicated stuff. And the worst part here is, it is simply the equivalent of creating a new layer and changing its blend mode to color, hue, saturation, or luminosity or any of that. So let's say we chose color and picked blue. You can create the same effect by just creating a solid color adjustment layer with that color picked up. So click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose solid color. Just hit OK right over there and change the blend mode to color. That's it. Select the mask, press Ctrl or Command I to invert the mask, and then you can take the brush tool. Let's choose the soft round brush and start painting with white right here. It is the same thing. But you might say, Unmesh, it allowed me to keep it within boundaries. Well, there are again better ways to do it. Simply go to select and then color range. Now in this case, we want to make sure that the color of our scarf is selected. Now I already did that, so it does a pretty good selection. Let me do it right from scratch. So first of all, you would decrease the fuzziness to 9 or 8 or something like that. Then with the first eyedropper right there, just pick the color of the scarf. If you cannot see anything right here, just choose the selection preview to none right now and just pick this color, right? Then with the plus eyedropper, just keep on adding different shades of red. Just make sure you're dabbing on the scarf and not a part of the hair or some other area. Similarly, let's do it on the cap. Okay, this looks pretty good. Now, all we have to do is to change the selection preview to grayscale. In this case, white are the areas which are selected and black are the areas which are not selected. So now simply increase the fuzziness and stop at just the point where other areas are beginning to be selected as well. Lips are fine because they are red as well. You want to make sure that all of the scarf and everything is selected and it doesn't just seep into the hair and other areas. So this is going to be too much. So let's just move back a little. About this much is fine, or maybe let's go for 100. Let's hit a century. Hit OK. Now you have a pretty good selection. All you gotta do is to click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose solid color and choose whatever color you wish. I'm gonna choose blue. Hit OK. Change the blend mode again to what? Color. Now, of course, you need to work on the mask a little bit. So hold the Alt key or the Option key, click on the mask button, and then you can simply select the brush and paint black in the areas which were not supposed to be a part of that color change. It's easy. And there you have it. So let me quickly do that over there and hold the Alt key or the Option key, click on the mask button, and now you have changed the color. And if there are some areas that are missing out, no problem. You can just select the mask and then just paint over those areas. Or you could also go back and just increase the fuzziness. So these areas were missing out, no problem. You can just paint those very easily and see how well it didn't get into the hair. That's so good. So you can paint in these areas, just get some areas back, as easy as that. And there you have it, some wonderful color changes. Now the great part here is you can change the color to whatever you wish. So you can double click on the thumbnail of the solid color adjustment layer and then you can change it to whatever you like. You can make it yellow, blue, magenta, green. It's up to you. The sky is the limit. You can do whatever you want right over here. Now to make it yellow, you would have to make it a little brighter, but you get the point. This is absolutely non-destructive. We have lots of other videos on changing colors which I would love for you to watch, and all of them are linked up in the description for your convenience. The next stupid Flanders, I don't know, I'm watching Simpsons a lot. The next stupid tool right here that we're going to talk about is the pattern stamp tool. To be honest, I really don't know why would somebody use this tool. By the way, the pattern stamp tool is something you find in the clone stamp tool group. And here is the pattern stamp tool. And let's go ahead and select a simple pattern. I have some super cool patterns as well, but let's go and select this pattern right over there. The pattern stamp tool is simply just painting the pattern. That's all there is to it. So if I go ahead and create a brand new layer and try to paint pattern on the wall, just like this, it just simply paints that pattern. And the thing is, there's no advantage of doing this because even if you pick the brush and paint on someplace else and connect that, it still is the same pattern. It is the equivalent of putting up a pattern on top in a top layer, creating a negative mask and just revealing the pattern. So if I create a pattern adjustment layer by clicking on the adjustment layer icon and then choosing pattern, and we choose the same pattern right here and we hit OK and we select the mask, press Ctrl or Command I, we take the brush and then we paint with white. It is the same thing, but this time this one is non-destructive. And the best part is if you open up the pattern properties, you can move the pattern. See? We can easily move the pattern, and not only that, we can also scale it if we want. So if you want to make it bigger, you take the scaling to the right and it goes bigger. If you want to make it smaller, you take it to the left and it goes smaller. So why would you use the pattern stamp tool? There is no sense to it. So let's say you wanted to change the wall at the back to some pattern. This is how I would do it. First of all, let's make a selection of the subject by selecting any of these tools, the magic wand tool, quick selection, or the object selection. And at the top, you will find select subject, and it has gone so much better with Photoshop 2021. If you're not using it, do try it. Check the link in the description. All right. So once you have that selection, click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose pattern. Choose whatever pattern you want. So for me, I'm just gonna go with probably this pattern that I downloaded and just hit OK. Now right now this is the opposite of what we wanted, so select the mask, press Ctrl or Command I. Now we have a pattern background. Now change the blend mode from normal to multiply. Alright, now you can double click on the right hand side of the layer, and we have discussed this in previous videos. You can just take it away from the bright areas because multiply is a blend mode which darkens. So take the slider of the underlying layer from right to left. Something like this. Hold the Alt key, the Option key, click on the slider to break it apart and make it, a softer transition. Just like this. And for the bright areas, you can make a duplicate by pressing Ctrl or Command J, and then you can change it to screen, double click on the right hand side and just do the opposite. Take it away from the dark areas. Just like this. And make it a soft transition, my friend. The softer the transition, the better. And there you have it, a pretty nice pattern. Now, if you wanted to change the pattern size, you can do that too. By the way, you would have to do it in both these layers because we have one layer for the bright areas, one for the dark. So all you got to do is to go to the properties. If you wanted to make it bigger, just increase the size. Let's go for 150 and now it's bigger. If you wanted to make it smaller, you can do that. Let's go for 90. Now it is smaller. Now keep in mind you would have to do that with this one as well. When you turn that on, just make sure this one is 90 as well. And now they will be synced. So what is the alternative we learned? Use the pattern adjustment layer. It not only allows you to move the pattern if you wish, but also scale it. The next one on our list of stupid useless tool is the magic eraser tool. And let me tell you, there's no magic about it. It's more of a tragic thing. So if you go and select the magic eraser tool, which you'll find in the eraser group, all it does, it's just simply the magic wand tool on steroids, but just permanent and more destructive. So let's say you wanted to remove the sky, you would just click and it tries to remove similar colors. And there is again tolerance, just like you have in the magic wand tool. So if we go back, let me show you something. If I choose the magic wand tool right there, right, with the same tolerance, if I click here, it just does the same thing in case you wanted to use the magic eraser tool. And better yet, you can hold the Alt key or the Option key and click on the mask button. And this time it's even non-destructive because this is a mask and you can modify it in any way you want. The magic eraser tool, as you learned right now, is absolutely destructive. So if we choose that and if we try to remove stuff, as you can see, this is destructive. And if you wanted something back, we can't do it. As you can see, this also removed parts of the mountain. We can't get it back. If you wanted a little bit of the sky, we can't get it back. With the later versions of Photoshop, anything non-destructive is better. For instance, you can use the real magic wand tool. It's not very good, but it's better than the magic eraser tool. Anything with the magic in it, you gotta get a little suspicious. You can also use the quick selection tool, which is far better. Have a look, so much better. And if there are some areas which are left out, you can always just modify it. So for instance, I want to erase this. So hold the Alt key or the Option key and just subtract it from the main selection. So easily and nicely done. There's even more options with Photoshop 2021. If you wanted to do just the sky, there's a thing for that, You can go to select and then sky. It'll do it for you. It's taking a little while, but there you have it. It did a pretty good job, and then you can modify it as well. And then you can hold the Alt key, the Option key, and click on the mask button and take it away. It's much more mature way to do it. And if you want something back, you can always click on the good old mask and take the brush and with white as the foreground color and just paint it back and get things back. This is how things should be done. You can also use the select and mask. The options are limitless. Just don't use the magic eraser tool. That's it. The next one in our list is actually not stupid, but it might not be very useful. And I don't know why it even exists. Maybe just to make things faster? I just don't know. Let me show you what I mean by that, and that is actually the rounded rectangle tool. There's also a triangle tool, we'll talk about that, but let's talk about the rounded rectangle tool. So if you choose the rounded rectangle tool, and let's choose a fancy color, let's choose blue, and let's make a rectangle. Now if you have a look closely, it adds a little roundness around the edge, and that you can modify with these points in later versions of Photoshop. Also, you can modify it inside properties by simply increasing the roundness from right here. You can modify it with these points as well, right? And that is the rounded rectangle tool. But I don't know why it exists, because you can do the same thing with the rectangle tool and there's no difference. So if I choose the rectangle tool right over there and do the same thing, it does have hard corners. Corners are pointy. But here as well, you can do the exact same thing. So I don't know why the rounded rectangle tool even exists. You have the same properties, the same points, the same everything. Right? Doesn't make sense. Similarly, there's one more, and that is the triangle tool. Right? You can make a triangle with that, as the name suggests. You can also modify it in any way you want. So if you click instead of dragging, it also gives you an option to create an equilateral triangle and determine the width and the height and all of that. And if you hit OK, it just allows you to make a triangle. You can make it bigger, smaller, do whatever you want. Make it thinner, thicker, lighter, whatever. And then you can change the roundness around the corners, right? Now you might say, what's wrong with that? It's great we have a triangle tool finally. Well, what is a triangle? Let me ask you a simple mathematic question. What is a triangle? It's simply a polygon with 3 sides. So what if I use the good old polygon tool and just say I want 3 sides on the polygon right here, and then you draw that, it's still going to be a triangle. And here as well, you can control the corner roundness. And the best part here is you can also make it a star if you want, if you're using the polygon tool. So if by any chance you wanted to make a Mercedes-Benz logo, you can do that as well by simply clicking and then probably decreasing the star radius. And you can control the width and the height. Let's make it a little smaller. And here as well, you can also make it symmetric so that the width and the height are the same. Hit OK. And here you have a Mercedes logo. You can definitely modify the star ratio by simply changing it. See? It's a fatter Benz. It's a thinner Benz. And there you have it. You can also control the corner radius to whatever you wish. And boom. So many options. So also, I don't know why the triangle tool exists. Maybe you can answer. Maybe somebody from Adobe can answer. This is not a video where I'm making statements. I'm opening it up for discussion for you. I might be wrong, and I'll be happy to be corrected. But this is something that we should think about. There are many more tools that I wanted to cover that have far better alternatives, like the dodge and burn tool, single row marquee tool, single row column tool, slice tool. There are lots of these. But I didn't cover them because, of course, due to time constraints, and also, most importantly, there are lots of us who use these tools, and it might get controversial. Maybe for a later video, we'll cover that. You know what, to be honest, at the end of the day, there is no such thing as a bad tool or a useless tool. If that tool works for you, that might be the best tool for you. If it gets your job done, that's what it matters. You know, a lot of people just have asked me, Unmesh, I just wanted to post quotes on Instagram and just simple graphics. Well, should I learn Photoshop? I'm using Canva right now. Well, you might not have to learn Photoshop. If Canva is getting your job done, if GIMP or GIMP, I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm sorry, is getting your job done, go forward with it. that's absolutely fine. Whatever works best for you, saves you time, and you find yourself more comfortable with it, that's best for you. No doubt about it. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I would love to know what tools you find useless and what are some better alternatives that I would love to know. So let me know in the comments. I would love to take this moment to thank all these nice and amazing people for supporting PiXimperfect on Patreon and helping keep PiXimperfect free for everybody forever. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Till then, stay tuned and make sure that you keep creating and also keep experimenting.